Coming up, the 2014 China Charity Fair successfully concluded in Shenzhen, Guangdong Province. We meet Huang Weidong, who rediscovered hope thanks to the help of China's Tzu Chi volunteers. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. Recently, the 2014 China Charity Fair successfully concluded in Shenzhen, Guangdong Province. During the three-day event, more than 120 Tzu Chi volunteers from both sides of the Taiwan Strait gathered together to introduce the Tzu Chi foundations to fairgoers. Meanwhile, the Buddhist NGO was also awarded by the organizers as one of the most transparent charities. With natural disasters occurring ever more frequently in China, more than 200 million people are affected every year. Over 100 million citizens have sought financial assistance. Providing assistance to underprivileged families, offering timely help in times of disasters, and providing tuition and medical aid. These are the main themes at the 2014 China Charity Fair.
Currently, I think the most difficult problem we need to take care of is how to provide medical services to the less fortunate.
During the fair, Tzu Chi Foundation's Vice President Lin Biyu shares with everyone how Tzu Chi volunteers lend a helping hand in times of disaster. In the aftermath of the gas blast in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, TIMA members mobilized to provide survivors with physical and emotional support. Following Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, besides conducting aid distributions, the volunteers also organized free clinics.
We not only need to help them physically, but also mentally. I believe a compassionate heart is the foundation to creating a harmonious society in China.
Furthermore, the Tzu Chi Foundation was also awarded for its accountability and transparency by the organizers.
Look, we have designed this according to the Chinese character 人. If you look from the outside, you can see the word 人 clearly.
This year, the Tzu Chi Foundation's booth was set up at the center of the exhibition hall.
I was very surprised that so many of the fairgoers were young. Many people showed an interest in charity missions and how to care for social problems. Many were curious about the Tzu Chi Foundation and wanted to know how we conduct our charity missions in China.
By using posters and video clips, the volunteers showed to members of the public the good deeds Tzu Chi has been doing in China and across the globe. Tzu Chi volunteers also incorporate some high-tech technology to spread Tzu Chi's charity missions.
Normally, people are in a rush, so I will first ask them if I can offer them some positive words. If they agree, I will ask them to repeat the words of a certain Jingzi aphorisms and then invite them in. Next, I will ask them to scan a QR code which will link up to their Facebook page so they can check for updates from us more.
Tzu Chi volunteers from both sides of the strait gather at the 2014 China Charity Fair with the goal of teaching and learning from more than 900 charity organizations. In 2009, Typhoon Kasena brought severe damage to the Philippines' Marikina city. In September, Marikina was affected again by Tropical Storm Fengwang, which left large portions of the city flooded. For displaced families by the flooding, they have now moved to temporary shelters, and Tzu Chi volunteers have been there to carry out food distributions.
Tropical Storm Fenghuang brought massive flooding to Marikina city. In some areas, the waters have started to recede, and residents have begun to clean away the mud and debris left behind. Others, however, have moved into temporary shelters as their homes are still underwater.
I live on the second floor. I came here after the flood reached the roof.
Local schools are serving as temporary shelters for displaced families, and Tzu Chi volunteers have been there to provide relief, this time bringing 2,000 buns to fill the bellies of those waiting to return home. Teachers from the Malaysia's Tzu Chi Teacher Association were among those providing support.
We were scheduled to attend an educational conference at the Manila Jingsi Hall, but it was cancelled because of the storm. We visited a school in Marikina City and saw that many displaced families have suffered so much.
Among the慈济volunteers were also local residents who arrived to lend a hand.
I want to thank Master Zhen Yan. I became acquainted with Tzu Ji after Typhoon Kasana. It was our turn to help the needy. I'm very happy to help out the families and neighbors in my hometown.
As rebuilding begins, volunteers from Malaysia, Taiwan, and the Philippines have come together to try to minimize damage caused by this most recent tropical storm.
How to be a school that offers a friendly learning environment to students. Besides helping youngsters broaden their horizons, it is also important to provide them with healthy and nutritious food. Next, we take a look at how the Tainan Tzu Ji Senior High School in Taiwan has achieved these goals. What is a mobile book cart? It is a cart that is filled with books. At the Tainan Tzu Ji Senior High School, volunteers will push the cart around campus during recess.
I can read more books. I don't have to walk to the third floor to borrow a book and be late for class. I don't think it is very respectful to my teacher if I'm late.
The purpose of the book cart is to help students save a trip to the library. We can deliver the books right to them. They won't have to waste time searching for the right book.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, volunteers will push the book cart along different floors, encouraging students to embrace the world of books.
For students that are taking social studies, we'll put traveling or geographic books on the cart. Yes, that way our students will want to borrow books.
Besides putting suitable books for students on the cart, each book in the library has also been handpicked by faculty members or students.
Our library is filled with books that are suitable for our students. Many parents are pleased by our book collection.
Other than having a library with books that can enrich the students' lives, the school also focuses on providing nutritious and healthy vegetarian meals. Every day, dietitians will look into the menu of the day to make sure students are receiving enough nutrients.
I was worried that my child would eat a lot of processed food. However, I found out that only about a quarter of the dishes use processed food.
Is the dietitian's dedication appreciated by students?
Before, I didn't eat that much. Now I eat a lot in school, so I've gained weight.
Although Lin Shijie has eaten the vegetarian meals provided by the school for more than 10 years now, he still looks forward to lunch every day. Lin's classmate Ye Jiahao even asked his family to cook meatless dishes at home.
I told my grandma that if I go meatless, my grades would improve. My grandma then happily said that she would cook vegetarian meals for me.
Thanks to the dedication of faculty members and dietitians, students of the Tainan Tzu Ji Senior High School not only have the chance to broaden their horizon through reading, but also grow up with a healthy diet. Next up in China, we meet Huang Weidong, who originally came to Guangdong to seek greener pasture. However, a series of unfortunate events turned his life upside down. Huang became homeless and wandered aimlessly through life until he met Tzu Ji. Here's more.
Shenzhen, one of the economic powerhouses of China and the first special economic zone in the country, is filled with the rich as well as the unemployed and homeless. It is a city where success and failure continue to overlap. Huang Weidong left his home in Jiangxi to seek greener pastures in the big city. However, an unfortunate turn of events and a car accident turned his life upside down. To cope with these setbacks, Huang turned to alcohol. Not only did his family leave him, he was forced to roam the streets and beg for a living.
2 years ago, I was still a beggar. I actually begged people for money. At the time, I often drank till I was drunk. While I begged, I would wonder how I landed myself in such a situation. Even I couldn't believe that I begged for a living. When I think back, those days were really unbearable.
Drifting aimlessly through life, Huang wandered across Guangdong. Just when his life hit rock bottom, he decided to try his luck in Shenzhen.
I wanted to give it a try. I didn't expect to receive help from慈济, but I just wanted to try my luck. At the time, I was put in touch with Brother Feng. I told him about my legs and asked if慈济could help me. I had thought that it was probably arthritis or a rheumatic disorder. I had tried everything, even cupping therapy in Huizhou, but nothing worked. It wasn't until Brother Feng took me to the Wujing hospital that we found out it was in fact osteonecrosis.
Not only did volunteers help apply for medical insurance for Huang's surgery, they even reunited him with his long-lost son, Huang Guangzhou. While recuperating after 2 surgeries, Huang also mended the broken relationship with his 15-year-old son.
He was not a good father before. I never thought he was qualified to be a father since he failed to fulfill the responsibilities of a father. It's the first time I've spent so much time with my father, and I have learned a lot from him during this time. While caring for him in these 2 months, I realized the true meaning of filial piety. It's not about how much money you give your parents, even if it's just bringing them a tub of water to soak their feet, helping trim their nails, or just showing them you care. The happiness they feel is worth much more than gold.
I owe much to my son over the last 10 years. I'm 42 this year. I hope I never have to live like that again.
Although Huang still relies on a walker to get around, this time he is returning to his hometown with his head up high.
I can say that my reputation stinks back home. Nobody believed me when I told them I quit drinking. They said if I could quit drinking, then pigs could fly. But my brother-in-law believes me now. Sometimes he will leave his drink on the table, and I won't lay a finger on it.
After 20 years of drinking, this time Huang is determined to give it up for good.
The volunteers' gestures truly moved my heart. When they were helping me find a job, they took everything upon themselves. They cared for me just like their own children.
Deep down in his heart, there is love and kindness. He just needs to be loved. But I believe from here on out, life will get better for him.
Huang Guangzhou volunteered to assist behind the scenes at the musical adaptation of the Sutra of Profound Gratitude to Parents. Awakened and touched by the profound message of the Buddhist scripture, Huang Guangzhou made a phone call to his father. Even at 42, it's never too late to start over or dream a new dream. Determined to live a life of purpose, Huang cherishes these new beginnings and seeks to live life without any more regrets.
In Taiwan, the 9/11 earthquake 15 years ago flattened many farming communities around its epicenter. While some decided to move away and restart their lives elsewhere, some stayed behind to rebuild. Such is the case for Hexing village of Zhongliao Nantou. At one point, it seemed everything was going to be fine when the village was transformed into an eco-village. But the villagers faced another setback. Still, they refused to give up.
This is a part of our stream restoration project. As water flows into the river, there will be life as well. This is Bishop Wood. When we first planted it, it was only 1 meter tall. Look how big it is now.
The now 10-meter tall tree has witnessed how Hexin village of Zhongliao, Nantou has recovered from the 921 earthquake. When the quake struck 15 years ago, 91 of the village's 265 homes collapsed completely, while 106 collapsed partially, leaving some 300 villagers homeless. Then 36-year-old Dr. Zhang Zhiyuan decided to come home to help his neighbors rebuild.
Those who could donated money, while others lent their strength, and so the rebuilding began. When we reached a certain point, we applied for the government's Cash for Work program and rebuilt our village.
Under Zhang's leadership, some 300 villagers helped restore an indigenous forest. The village eventually became the 9th eco-village in the world, where visitors could enjoy a botanical garden featuring indigenous plants. However, now the coffee shop is covered in dust.
Seeing how this place has turned out has made us realize we were missing the most important element. Though we have cleaned up the environment and rebuilt after the quake, we couldn't restore people's livelihood. People couldn't make their living here.
Zhang and the villagers thought about improving their livelihood. As over 90% of the villagers are farmers, they decided to grow banana, orange, lemon, and longan. It just so happens to be longan's harvesting period, but at 10 NT dollars a catty, farmers say it is not enough to even cover wages.
Longan is really cheap. Sometimes you can only get 8 NT a caddy.
So instead of simply selling fresh longan, the villagers thought about selling dried longan.
Once the baking begins, you can't let the fire die out. You also have to turn over the longan daily.
We have developed several local specialty goods and hope this will help boost the local economy.
By utilizing local resources, a dessert has been made by combining the village's 4 treasures: longan, lemon, pineapple, and orange. After reaching a consensus, the village has also asked the Soil and Water Conservation Bureau for a grant to help some 70 villagers rebuild their farms. In the future, the eco-village will be renovated as well as to welcome tourists once again.
As Singapore Tzu prepare to perform the musical adaptation of the Sutra Profound Gratitude Towards Parents in September, Tzu alumni of all age groups have arrived to provide support and participate in the rehearsals. For director Zhang Youping, who once encountered much difficulties in the rehearsals, the Tzu alumni's unwavering support has been of great assistance.
Director Zhang Youping keeps on practicing in an effort to experience what it feels like to lose parents without serving them while they were still alive.
Only after I've experienced that emotion can I relay this experience to the actors and teach them how to act properly.
Director Zhang Youping is still a college student. Hoping to give a perfect performance, he has studied the play's various versions repetitively.
Sometimes actors seek my help, and I blame myself for not being able to teach them how to understand and be acquainted with their roles. Our actors only show so much on the surface, but internally, the character has all these emotions going on about his or her mother.
The team practices at least 3 times a week, and although it takes Zhang nearly 4 hours to commute back and forth, he has been steady in his commitment. One of the reasons is that Zhang has received much support from Tzu alumni.
I'm glad to see that the actors are trying hard. It makes all my efforts feel worthwhile. My biggest reward from this time is that I've learned how to let go of my preconceptions, while at the same time helping others realize their dreams.
成就大家各自的想法。
Many Tzu alumni returned to participate in the performance, including Lin Xingchun, who brought along her family of 4.
I was a Tzu. After giving birth, I was not very active for 7 years. I feel that I should take this opportunity to contribute, but I don't know when the next good opportunity will come around.
Preparing for the performance, Tziqing's work together to overcome all difficulties and thus convey the message of filial piety to Singapore's residents.
In the process of conducting home repairs for senior care recipients in Shuiyuan Village, Hualien, Tzu volunteers discovered that many residents are also in need of medical equipment. On September 18, Tzu volunteers arrived at the home of care recipients to deliver needed medical equipment.
A Tzu volunteer explains how to operate an electric bed to this 93-year-old senior. As both he and his 91-year-old wife have taken a tumble over the past year, the electric bed will be of great help.
I'm very pleased. How can I not be pleased seeing this bed? I'm very happy.
This 87-year-old senior citizen has been bedridden for a decade and is in need of an oxygen machine. As it costs as much as $66 per day to run the machine, Tzu decided to donate an oxygen machine and a wheelchair on behalf of the senior.
I appreciate Tzu's compassion and assistance with the medical equipment. Thank you very much. I'm really moved. These would cost a fortune to purchase. Thank you.
In the process of conducting home repair for senior care recipients, Tzu volunteers discovered that many residents in Shuiyuan Village in Hualien are also in need of medical equipment. Hualien Tzu Hospital's Department of Social Services then decided to donate unused equipment to help.
Medical equipment needed includes electric beds, wheelchairs, sputum suction device, and oxygen machine. We came to deliver them today.
Tzu has long cared for the needy in Hualien, but its ultimate goal is to pull them out from poverty and illness.
In Canada, the city of Toronto recently hosted its annual Vegetarian Food Festival to promote vegetarianism. Volunteers from the local Tzu branch also participated in the event and introduced Tzu's instant rice and its origin and wisdoms to members of the public.
At the Toronto Vegetarian Festival in Canada, many are here to promote vegetarianism, including local Tzu volunteers.
I'd like to say that I thank you from the bottom of my heart and all the people that you've helped and given a life that maybe would not have had one.
We are introducing Tzu's instant rice to people of different nationalities. Both the Indian and African residents like our products very much. I'm glad to have the opportunity to introduce Tzu to local residents.
The volunteers also took time to explain the benefits and meaning of keeping a vegetarian diet, which not only protects the environment, but also reduces killings and shows compassion to all living beings. Tzu's reusable utensils can also reduce our abuse on the environment as well.
We go back to Taiwan at the end of the show. Prior to their departure to the Philippines, volunteers gather at the Tzu Banqiao grounds in Sanxia district to make sure they're familiar with the building process of prefabricated homes. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.